Hey, today's video, we're going to talk about how you can create the perfect customer testimonial for your landing pages that you're taking your PPC campaigns, whether that's Google Ads, Facebook Ads, traffic to, as well as have to put on your advertising itself, ads that you may be running different places, in order to see a 50% or thereof increase in conversion rates on the traffic that you have with your page right now. If you aren't doing anything with testimonials, %50 increase once you go through and do things the way that I show you as the most ideal way, definitely is possible. If you have some, more than likely is a way to improve and still get half or a little bit more than that on top of what you're getting from that testimonial right now, as it contributes to your overall PPC sales funnel package, getting person from click or search to customer. So, and to get more of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through here and give you a quick background. Then I'm going to actually get into, which most of the video is just going to be about my strategy here on how to create a perfect customer testimonial or review. Respectively, there's a lot of different ways to do them. I wouldn't ever say there's necessarily a wrong way to do it, because I'm not the testimonial person writing the rules here that everybody have to follow. But there's ways that I know from experience get a little bit of results, and then depending on how much of these things that you do, the more results you're basically going to get. So you can decide how far you want to take this. I'm just giving you the inside information on what you can add to take things to another level with your campaigns. So with all that said, I will get into the meat of this. Everybody, i.e., your prospects that you're trying to market to with your PPC ads, wants to see reviews, but nobody wants to give a review. Everybody loves reviews, but nobody loves giving reviews, as we all know. I.e., obviously, everybody who buys from you wants to see a review, but when you ask people for reviews, if you've asked for them before, I'll take it you have, very, very few people want to give them. And at least the way that I'm going to explain, extremely low amount. You have to be your customers that love you the most to do this, unfortunately. But if you have enough customers, you got some. Everybody can basically do this if you're not starting out brand new and you're a tiny company that's doing $100,000 worth a year in sales. Respectively, it could be less for some of you guys. But do you know how much a structured review will do for your PPC campaign rates if you do what you need to do to get one from one of these reluctant customers who are frankly shy, or they just don't want to waste time working with you to get the testimonial? Well, a good review, quote unquote, section of your landing page that you take people to from your PPC campaigns. If you're not taking people to a landing page that's dedicated, of course, having it on your site, but respectively, I'm going to assume you're talking about sending people to a landing page itself. Having a section on your landing page itself and doing it right can get you, as noted, 50% plus, or basically about a 50% increase in conversion rates on your same exact traffic by doing that testimonial section and doing it right. Okay, so how do you get that 50%? I'm going to explain and go through that next with you here. I'm also going to explain, if you can't do all that, what are the stuff that you can do to get you a little bit more results, a little bit more, and then taking it all the way. You got the okay, better, best, and then the home run option to be able to get the full 50% thereof increase in conversion rates from your campaigns. The 50% again is considering you don't have any testimonial section on your landing pages now, but you're going to have one, and you're going to take it all the way through the strategy here that I know through testing, the various split testing that we've done over the years, what kind of works the best. There may be a better way, but this is the best way I know how to do it. Okay, so first starting off, the okay method. This is what most people are going to do, frankly, 80% plus of people are going to do, because frankly, it takes a lot more energy and effort to do the rest of these. So with that, you will get a little bit of results having any kind of testimonials versus none, because it shows that, potentially, hard to put it into words. People don't trust certain testimonials that don't have so much information attached to them. But even if you have a crappy testimonial, it'll still do some for you, a bit, not really anything, versus none, as I've seen. If you have any testimonials on your page at all, the readable, you should be able to get a 10% increase, respectively. Might be closer to 5% of all it is a testimonial, and then Jack R, let's say. You should be able to get 10% if you can do first name and last name, and hopefully their location. The review will get potentially a little bit more than 10% if you could the review talks about the situation that they were in, the application that they used your product or service for, or the product itself of the group of products you may sell that they were using on the review. The more specifics that they give, the more real it seems. Everything that you're going to hear me say here is about believability. Like half of people, basically, people have done studies on this, that they don't trust reviews, okay? So basically speaking, you'll get some people that will trust it every time, but most people won't trust it, basically at all or very much. So there is a way to get basically everybody to trust it. You just have to go all the way with the testimonial process that you should be executing for your company. Now, you want to go a little bit further than making sure. So, and taking a step backwards here, most of the people who leave you a testimonial, if you actually ask them for it, are going to write it unideally. What you want to do is basically you wait, your customer success manager or whatever, they wait for the customer to say something good about your company. And that's the time that you ask them for a testimonial. Okay? You ask them, and even though they said what they said, you write up a new version of what they said. Okay? Then you'll read back that to what over the phone what you want to say that they said, basically, and they'll approve it, or you'll send it to them via email or whatever. But basically speaking, you rewrite it to give that, because ultimately when people read the testimonials, it's supposed to be another piece of content, effectively like a description on your page if it's done right. It explains what the product's used for, how it's used, how well it works for a certain application. If you have several testimonials talking about different applications of the product, I'm going to use it for application A. This person gave a review saying they used it for application A. Now that's going to be a very strong effect on that person, given that they read that testimonial. So that's what you're trying to do ultimately with these testimonials. And you're not going to, of course, have one. You want to have several, generally speaking. And hopefully, or it could be upwards of 10 if you're just dealing with these regular text testimonials, which is what we're starting with here. And with the goal, hopefully, of discussing if there's 5 different applications that people use your product for, that the testimonials, basically, at least each application is covered by each one of the testimonials, if that makes sense. That should be your goal. But most people are using just regular text review. There's no pictures, there's nothing. And it's first name, last initial, because they don't want to give away the name of the customer, hassle them, have them be hassled. It will automatically convert better though if you have the last name, if you can do it, and it'll convert better. Even yet, if you have the location, convert even better if you give people actual usable information in there, like I spoke of already. And then the last thing is link to their social media. Now, I've had situations where we've had people that they'll give the customer a comp, free product, free service, whatever, in exchange of talking to people who are skeptical and, basically like a reference if you're talking about B2B sales. But if you're not talking about B2B sales, and really B2B, it's the same way. There's no reason why you can't use this for B2B, but if you can work out a deal with the customer or client that you have, that you can link to their social media, so if people have a question, they can ask a question to that person on Facebook or LinkedIn. But more so, that actually provides more evidence that your testimonial, I should say, review, testimonial, those words are interchangeable to me, that it looks like it's real at that point, because you link to an actual person, and not for every person who does ask that person a question at the other, on social media that the testimonial links to, there'll be 100 people who think that that's pretty cool that you did that, and they'll believe it, basically twice as much than if you didn't have that, which is why you do that. And that's why you pay and give somebody a free product or free service, partially free service, to get that going for your testimonial. Each testimonial links to that. Or some people do a phone number. They'll do a dedicated, like, Google Voice number, of course, so the person knows on their phone if they get a call for such and such number, it's for, your testimonials. It'll say, the Thornton Hole Digging Equipment Company testimonial calls, like on the caller ID. And they'll just work it out. If you answer the one-off call that you get for that, we'll comp you. And if you're talking about almost twice as much conversion rate by being able to link to the actual person or providing a phone number there. It's actually quite significant. So you could put that into terms of value of whether or not you want to comp somebody, go through that process. But, twice as much, effect, going from a 10 to 20% conversion rate increase from the increase you get by having the testimonials. That should, obviously substantiate some trouble for you to go ahead and do that. The other thing, the better, so we're going from okay to better here. The better option here, also the big one, is to have a headshot. You want to have a picture of that guy or gal, not just their name and where they're from, and a link to their social, but if you have a picture of that person right on the page, it also becomes quite a bit more believable. So respectively, if having a testimonial with first and last name on it by itself gets you a 10% increase, you might get a 15 to 20% increase if you have their headshot, and then if you have the link to their social, now you're approaching 30% increase. The more pieces of information that you're offering here to make it more and more real, respectively, that's what it's all about. The more you're going to get, basically, okay? So, whereas everybody wants to kind of cut it short, partially because they don't want to bother the customer. If you work out a deal with the customer and you're able to add all of this, instead of a 10% increase, you can get upwards of a 30% increase in the increase in conversions that you get. Or in other words, another way to say it is you got a 20% increase on top of what you had before with just the first name and then last initial, let's say. Okay, so that's still kind of the basics here. There's a lot more you can do as far as improving your testimonials. The other thing is, if we're going into the next section here, best. For the best option here, we got screenshots/photos. So with that, what you do is, as I mentioned before, the best time to get the testimonial is when somebody's praising you over the phone or through the email. And then that's the time you can ask that person if you can quote them for a testimonial. And of course, you get their approval, you can put it on the site. Now, what some people I see doing is they'll just take a screenshot of the testimonial for their landing page. And that's okay, but it's even better, as I found, a lot better, if you could still do what I mentioned up here, go through the process of rewriting the testimonial, getting an okay for that, and then basically you have your screenshot available of the conversation that led up to the testimonial, so you can have more context to the situation, and then you have the regular testimonial with the headshot and the name and the location and all that showing. But there's also available a link to read the full conversation. This is something that nobody that outside of what the clients that I've dealt with have ever done. And on the other hand, if you have something visual to show, let's say you have a construction business, you do interior design, the customer photos, if you have a link to the photos, or with the photos, ideally you want some thumbnails showing, so next to the testimonial you have the thumbnails of what the end result looks like, of which when they click on it, so you're not taking up too much room there, you can blow it up into a pop-up, if you will, so that you aren't taking them to another page. That'd be the most ideal setup. You will get a lot more response out of that testimonial, because now not only can they believe it more, but there's even more context to the situation. The screenshot, you can have a thumbnail there, and if I click on it, it'll blow up into a larger version, so you can actually read it there. That's the most ideal setup for that as well. But respectively, even if you don't have a thumbnail there, we have before just have read full conversation, and then that's a hyperlink. When you click on it, it opens up to a bigger, to a pop-up there. Whereas the photos, generally we're actually showing a thumbnail, because those are so powerful all in themselves. We want people to click on those. If they click on those, they're going to buy at a higher rate, so we definitely want people to click on that. Whereas if you capture the screenshot of the conversation, yeah, that can add some context. And more so, it's about increasing believability at that point. Not everybody has to see that, but you put that one way or another next to your review, your testimonial, and it'll increase believability and give them even more information. Like I said, the photos have an even greater effect if you're in a market where customer photos of them using it or having it installed, or the after, if you will, even the before and after. If you can do that, that's even harder to get, way harder to get people to cooperate with that. But if you can get that, that'll all help. Even if you don't have like the headshot on your testimonial, go ahead. It doesn't mean you can't do these screenshots. Get what you can get. The more of these elements basically that you add, and done in an elegant way so that it's not too much to sift through, and your eye can go from one thing to the next without getting confused, the more you're going to get. If you go ahead and add the screenshot or photos to the mix, you can get it closer to a 35% increase from where you started. For some people, if you're dealing by phone, instead of linking to the screenshot, which generally that's a screenshot of Gmail, if you didn't pick this up already, you can have an audio recording, and then you just show the 30 seconds or a minute, during the time in which the actual where the person was praising you. You can go back a little bit further to give them, again, more context. That context helps the person physically understand that your product or service can deal with somebody that has a problem like you. And if that person has a problem like you, then it's going to be way more powerful yet. You can take the audio and then have that accessible via link. If you're going to have a thumbnail, generally we'll have a thumbnail. It shows like a little audio player. And when you, of course, hit the play button, it'll play. Or if not, you hit the little thumbnail, it looks like an audio player, and you'll have a pop-up where it can play within there. But you add that too, and that just provides also more context and more proof that this testimonial that you got actually happened. And people will listen to that more than you think. Quite a bit. I mean, we're not talking about 40%. People will make sure to listen to the audio each time, but people will listen to it. And the bigger thing is they can see the fact that there was a recording there. So without having to click on it, they know they can put more stock in this testimonial. So respectively, that's the best option, having the headshot, the first name and last name, instead of just first name, last initial, having their location if you can, particularly if you're in a location sensitive business, by the way, mentioning that these people are local to you, even more, it'll give you even more of an effect. Talking about, the product or application that they're using it for to provide more information for the user, link to their social media if possible or phone number, and then of course link to the original conversation, whether text or audio, and the before and after or after photos will add more, quite a bit more to your overall potential on your PPC campaigns. Now, here, going one step further, the final step here, well, actually, there's two more steps here that I'm going to get into, but respectively, if we want to go one step further here at first, the home run option here is video testimonial. This is obviously the hardest to get. You can get proof of, the conversation that you had pretty darn easy. You just, for the audio recording, I didn't mention that, but we use call tracking for everything we have, and those calls are automatically recorded. So if we need to get the audio, we could just always go there, download the audio file, and then cut it out if we need to. For the video testimonial, you don't have that, obviously, to rely on. So you got to go in, you got to ask your best customers if they would do it. Then you got to have a video guy or gal go out to the person at their house and then have a sit down. And basically all this is you have them sitting on the couch, and then you have everything that, all these elements that I talked about up here that makes the testimonial more believable and just more powerful in general. You have the script in terms of the questions you ask them, make sure it gets it out of the way. What's your name? Where are you from? Why did you call us? And then, at the end you could say, if customers want to get in contact you, if you can do it, where can they contact you? That's at the end. But then after, what did you use it for? What was your experience? How did you like it? Did it turn out the way that you thought it would turn out? Do you have any advice for anybody else that's considering our company? And then where can people contact you if they have a situation like yours, perhaps, and would like to ask you a question at the end? That general structure will work. You're talking about 2 to 5 minute video is fine. You can go a little bit longer than that if people basically ramble, but they're not going to watch a 20-minute video. Respectively. Some, if they're in that exact situation they're in, so I don't want to say that every time, but respectively, you want to try to crunch it down to be somewhat shorter, as I found. But you have a video testimonial there, all right? And then with the video testimonial, I'll generally have at least 4. If you have 4 and you kind of have them in a grid pattern on your page, you'll get closer to a 50% increase off of 0 testimonials and then going to that. Why? Because that's the most believable at all. Obviously, you can't fake unless you had paid actors, but obviously people are not going to be going to that unless you're selling something that's really, low trust space. Like, well, if you're selling, money-making courses, then, people are going to be going there. But if you're a roofing company, they know darn well you're not faking those or haven't faked those. It won't even be crossing their mind at all. They see those when you're reading. People would rather watch a video than read. So you're going to have, part of the reason why it has a higher conversion rate is because you have a higher uptake rate of people actually physically getting through it. You'll get so much response increase from your ads, your landing page, because they saw the testimonial. If they actually click on the testimonial and they spent a little bit more time on your page engaging, as a result of that, your conversion rate goes up from that. Another way to say it is the longer people engage on your landing page, the more likely they are to convert. So your job is to hopefully provide them enough context that you just keep them on the page longer and longer, not out of frustration, but you get them more and more interested basically in the process. And as long as you provide, you just got to think about what the consumer wants, and if you can just add all that in there. So basically you can keep them on the page as long as you can. The longer they stay, the more likely they are to convert. But the video testimonial keeps them on the video for a couple minutes. They get all the way through that sucker, they're way more likely to convert. Okay? And when you have 4 of them, then they think this is not just a fluke. there's a crowd of people out there that like this company, and they're all similarly having all positive experiences. That's the mental process that they ultimately conclude to as they see those. And they won't watch them all. They'll watch one, and then they'll click on another one and see if it, once they realize it's basically the same thing as the first one, they're done, essentially. With you have 4, mainly because they'll see, wow, that was a great testimonial video. And then, wow, they have 3 others just like that. And then, respectively, it all comes back to, what are your competition willing to do? Your competition isn't going to spend the time to set up a shoot to get their customer's opinion on camera. And so, and when from, just taking it from me, the number one thing, basically, that they would like to see is a video. Well, you're automatically on the top of the pile in terms of choices. Respectively, for the 2 most important things that people they care about or worry about in terms of deciding if they're going to buy from somebody is, of course, price is number 1, and then second is the reviews. And of course, there's Google reviews and Yelp and all that, but if you go ahead and you put all this other stuff to make the testimonials look real, like I'm giving to you, the Google review and the Yelp review is just as powerful as the testimonials. The reason why people like the Google reviews is because it's a third-party thing, and they think they can trust it. Whereas a text testimonial, they don't know if they can trust it. If you give them a video testimonial, it'll double the power, essentially, of having good reviews on Google and Yelp and HomeAdvisor or whatever you have in your space, Trustpilot. So you can think about it like that. And so, respectively, you don't have to have too many of 4. We found 4 is enough, okay, just as a side note to this. But that's the best way to do it. So if you can do the video testimonials, by the way, you can skip all this other stuff up here. So you do the video testimonials if you can, because that's going to work the best. And if you can't, try to do as much as you can, of course, or whatever you're motivated to do. And the further you get down this table here that I gave you, the better off you're going to do in terms of your conversion rates, in terms of the increase you can get by having testimonials on your page. So that the answer to the question of how to do the perfect customer or client testimonial for your PPC landing pages, it's the video testimonial, having at least 4 of them together in one dedicated section of your site. Usually it's near the bottom of the page, because if they get to the bottom of the page, they're thinking, well, do I want to contact them or not? And if they see the testimonials at the end, once they get through that, you got them. Essentially. I can learn this kind of stuff, by the way, because there's different software out there, like Hotjar is one. There's several others where you could video record what's going on your landing pages when traffic gets there. And you can obviously do that by keyword and by ad and all this other stuff. By traffic source, if you wanted to try like Google Organic and see Google Organic visitors behave significantly different than Google Ad visitors. You can't assume everybody interacts with your sites the same, but you could physically see how they scroll, where they're clicking on, how long, you literally can watch what the mouse does. And you should do that if you're really serious about making millions of dollars a year with your PPC, because when you got your landing page put together, you don't want to see people getting, basically what will happen if you got a weakness is they'll kind of move their mouse around in a circular area, motion around certain things. If they're trying to figure out what to do, they'll be clicking, basically, in other words there. What you want to see people do, just as a side note, is you want to see them scroll, stop, scroll, stop, scroll, stop. Because that means, basically, you've done your job right in terms of the order of the content on the page, what they basically logically think that you want them to think that you're reading their mind about what they would like to see in a company that has put a landing page in front of them together for them. And so you got to kind of know what to show them first and then kind of show them second. And if you do that right, most of the people will get through the page. You don't want to see people going up and then down, up, down. It should be all the way down. They might go up and look at one or two more things, and then they convert or they leave. But that's, anyway, you could use, I use that software to figure out what, like testimonials, where did they go? Is it the middle? Is it the bottom? Almost every single time, if it's not at the bottom before the footer, it's basically right after the middle of the page, if you will. Okay, a little bit different depending if it's a design firm or like an engineering design firm versus a moving company, but they're always towards the bottom of the page. There's also a bonus that I gave you here. If you want to double again, whatever end of the spectrum you end up getting here, or you end up achieving here for your increase in conversion rates, whether it's 10% or 50%, you can double that number. 10. If it was 10, you did kind of the bare minimum, or you did, I don't want to say bare minimum, but you basically got the first name, last name, and their location on a text review so that it's somewhat believable. Yeah, like a 10% increase versus not having a testimonial at all. You want to go to 20%, take the testimonial, put it into a remarketing banner ad, and then have people that leave the site for the next 30 days and make sure that they can see it a few times. You don't have to slam them, but all it's going to be is the testimonial and then a link to your site. That's it. And the whole point of the ad is just to get them to see that you have good reviews. As a side note, I always do that, and I also do ads that say what our Google and Yelp and all that other reviews are too, because they're synonymous. They're both there to make sure that if they left and they weren't quite sure who to choose after they left and saw a few other sites, they're kind of like in decision paralysis mode, that they will start to think that we're basically the most trusted one, because we've kind of slowly brainwashed them with the ads and through the repetition. That's how brainwashing works. That they see that we are the best reviewed, and basically, even though we don't have 10,000 reviews, it seems like it because we're having the ad show up more than a few times for them. I'll do it like one ad. The frequency will be they'll see one testimonial one day and the next day another, and it won't stop for the next 30 days or something like that. Actually, up to 5 a day is what I usually do as far as the ad frequency. But basically, you're just stuffing the testimonial to whatever degree you have it here in the ad. And then if you have 4 testimonials, you'll have 4 of those testimonial ads rotate out for each other, with each other. They'll rotate out so that testimonial 1 shows, and then later that day testimonial 2, then later that day testimonial 3, and then once they've shown, might be the first testimonial. The first testimonial gets shown 3 times, and the second gets shown once, and the third gets shown once. Out of the however many you have, the ad's actually triggered for that person 5 times during that day. It won't show anymore, but the next day it will show up to 5 times of whatever ads in that mix Google kind of thinks is based upon prior data, the best one to show. And the goal is to get click-through on it. It's for them to see it. A lot of people have the wrong, they think very, they don't think about remarketing right, in that the remarketing's job, when you're talking about remarketing to people like on Google search ads, is to get the person to the rest of the way in terms of deciding that you're the best, you're the most trusted. Because when they leave, half of the time they're not sure if you're the right one yet. And just like I said, they're going around looking at other options. And basically the remarketing ads, it basically, you're diving into their subconscious mind as they're reading articles. They see your testimonial, they read this other article, now they see this testimonial. They're not there to respond to your company right then. They're reading an article. But just by seeing the ad in their peripheral view, it goes into their subconscious, and as they've seen that, and more they see the ads, the more and more they think you're the best, most popular company in the space. So 30 days from now, when they end up deciding, I got to hire a roofer today, I can't delay it anymore, because you've done all those testimonial ads for them over the whole month, when they go, oh, I'll hire that company. Why? Because you're going to see the most familiar and therefore the most trustworthy, because regardless of how trustworthy you are, because you've actually, because through the repetition, people associate the repetition and the familiarity that you have from the repetition and the fact that they're going to think of you first through the repetition, that you're the best. And if they're going to pick somebody that, and they don't, basically they don't have any other way to know who's better if they don't have a test or referral or anything like that. So, and they were just going online and looking at companies on Google, you just became the default choice. So you just take whatever testimonial you have it in there. The reason why you'll get 50% more increase from a video testimonial is because the video testimonials, when you do that, are that much more impactful. You will literally have a banner ad. What you do in the banner ad that I love doing is you'll have a little picture of a video player, and it'll say, see our wonderful testimonial from Janice R. in Little Rock. And then there'll be like a little, like what a YouTube video looks like when it's embedded in a site. Have the video there. And so when they click on the ad, they won't obviously be able to watch a video within a banner ad, but you can take people to a dedicated landing page which has that video testimonial on it. And what I actually do is I put all my other testimonials on that page. So we'll have, in other words, a dedicated page with just testimonials on it. And so they can go to the page, and there's actually a way through anchors where if somebody clicks on an ad, it can take them directly to the exact video that was in the ad. And if they saw a different ad with a different video being shown, that will take them to the part of the page right away that has that particular video. But in general, you take them to a page that just has the testimonials on it, because if they're interested in one, you at least want them to know you have 50 others, because the type of person who would have wanted to watch the video there is the type of person who doesn't quite trust you, or maybe trust anybody yet, probably doesn't trust anybody yet. So if they're going to watch one, you want them to know you have the others, whether they're going to watch them or not, because that helps bridge that trust gap. So respectively, if you do that, and I would do at least 30 days after they came to your site. If you're doing something like a broken toilet repair, you don't necessarily do 30 days because they're going to make a decision fairly quickly, right? But for something like you're offering sales training, I would do for the next year, because people, the longer that people typically make a decision on average, or the longest time it generally takes for someone to make a decision, I'm running my ads for that long. But it will basically then double the potential out of what the testimonials will be on its own, because you are repeating them in the ads, and it's not expensive to do. It costs a penny to have a banner ad show up for somebody who you paid $5, $10, $15, $20 a click to get them to your site. And when you have to show the testimonial ads to them 5 times a day, that's 5 cents a day. 5 cents a day to double whatever lift increase the testimonial is going to do on its own, and respectively, remarketing, when it's done right in itself, will generally double the overall profitability of traffic ads that drive new traffic in, because repetition in remarketing is important in general. So do a dedicated page. Now, as far as the testimonials on the page and on your initial landing page that you have, that has the testimonial section on it, which this video was mostly about, I'm doing embedded videos through YouTube because it's most familiar to people, and doesn't, regardless of what you're doing with web design, your job always is to make people not think. If they have to think, what is that? Or I don't know about that, you're losing conversion rate every single time that happens. So in other words, you want it to be so simple they don't even have to think. And that goes for the entire process of analyzing your entire company, your offer, your brand. So when they get down to the video section, you don't want them to think, how do I play this video? Everybody knows how to play a YouTube video. So you can do a YouTube video embed, and I'll have my video testimonial like in a grid pattern here, 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 here. I don't worry about text around the videos. By the way, if I'm doing video testimonials, it's just a video, because the name and the location and all that can be done in the video, and it kind of encourages them to watch it so they can understand, is it a local one? So to kind of help things along, because I do want them to watch it. If they watch it, the conversion rate goes way up because they were on the page 3 times as long as a person who didn't watch a video. But with that, the other thing you got to be careful of is there's where at the end of a YouTube video, it can suggest other videos, and then the person can get lost inside the iframe embed. It's through an iframe when you embed a video on a site. And there's a way to disable that, I've found, and you can Google that, but I would recommend you do that. The videos can play on those. That's the drawback of YouTube, and you can use Vimeo Plus when you have no ads. You'll have to decide for yourself if you want the ads or not. If you're in a space where there's a lot of competition on YouTube, then you may not want to do that. You go for the Vimeo Plus instead. Vimeo Player is probably the second most known and most familiar video player for people, so you could go with that direction. Me though, and I haven't ran numbers with this or anything, but I'm just going to go with YouTube. The ads, I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to take off the ability to have suggested videos at the end of the video versus using a paid video solution, but that's of a different type, and add any kind of small little bit of what is this or how does this work that's going to happen in the process. So that's how to make the perfect testimonial, and then how to really leverage it to get the most out of it you can as well, i.e. you can run testimonials in ads by themselves, the remarketing ads, through which I run the remarketing ads on Google Display Network, as Google Display Network is cheaper and better and more controllable than AdRoll, Credo, and all the other remarketing services out there are. And I mentioned on other videos, I'll also take my testimonials and I'll run them on Facebook as remarketing ads there. So when it's on Facebook, I'll literally upload the video. I don't need a banner ad. You can have that only show up for people who've been to your dedicated landing page there. I can also do on YouTube itself. 70% of people use YouTube in 2022 already. So if they're on YouTube, my video testimonial will show up for them too there as well. Even if they're looking at something else while they're watching a video about how to make banana bread, my video testimonial can show up for them there too if they've been to my landing page. I also do that. Why? Because this stuff, I wasted all this time to do the testimonials. I want to get the most leverage I can. Some people go to Facebook. Some people only go to YouTube, and I want to make sure I have the most coverage I can. So if they only go to one place, I got them there at least. But also, even if they go to both sites, you're going to get more out of it if you're going to have it shown more often to a limit for them, because the repetition is what gets the trust. They'll think you're a brand after they've seen your brand so many times, because that's how branding works. And you've just created a brand for yourself through the ads that you're using to rotate and have on a daily basis your testimonial in front of them, and done so in a way that isn't too annoying. They were interested in a new roof or whatever. You're just explaining to them that you're the best roofer in the place, and here's what customers are saying. So if you're actually helping them, and because you help them, and you're not just hitting them over the head with the same message, are you ready to buy yet? Are you ready to buy yet? It will work much, much better. That is for sure. So testimonial remarketing is really quite powerful. Use those testimonials to the best at the maximum to the maximum effect you can use it. Since you have them and you know it works, go ahead and you can get some extra sales out of what you did with the information I gave you on this video as well. Anyway, that's it. I have a ton of other money-making PPC strategy videos on this channel. If you haven't seen any of my other videos yet, you should definitely check those out. I have a blog at guaranteedppc.com/blog with step-by-step instructions on how to build PPC campaigns that work. If you're looking for information along those lines, you can find it there. If you have any questions about testimonials, how to do them, how to promote them, leave me a comment down below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment on this channel, usually within a day or two, personally. And with all that said, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you in my next video that comes out with another great strategy to make more extra money with PPC that comes out in another few days again as well. Have a good one.